Hello, it's Monday, 21st of June, 2021, and this is NEWSFLASH. My name is Nana Yonchu. We are coming to you live from Ekwabahima Studios in our office complex here on Dr. Issa Street at North Ridge in Accra. Coming up in the bulletin. Opposition NDC described Dr. Dominic Ayine referral to the General Legal Counsel over alleged prejudicial comment about the election petition as an attempt by the Chief Justice to suppress opposition views. Group threatens to attack Lighthouse Chapel branches in Kumasi. Thank you very much for being part of the bulletin. We move to our first story. You risk serving 12-month jail term if you become a hindrance to the ongoing 2021 population housing census. This according to the government statistician Professor Samuel Enim, who has well entreated all Ghanaians to comply with the personnel engaged for the council. Professor Enim stated this at the Ministry of Information press briefing in Accra.
The 2021 population and housing census began listing structures and landed properties on 13th June 2021. This involves enumerators locating every structure and assigning unique serial numbers to the structures. According to the government statistician Professor Samuel Enim, about 70% of expected structures have been enumerated.
Data as at the end of yesterday, we've covered 70% of these structures over the next 6 days. This gives us a lot of confidence moving into the remaining 4 days of the exercise that the remaining 30% will be covered as we pull our officers out of the field.
He called on the public to comply with personnel engaged in the exercise.
Persons who obstruct a member that Ghana Statistical Service has engaged for the data collection exercise will be penalized. Not more than 200 units and not more than 12 months imprisonment or both. So the law is clear on the sanctions associated with one, you preventing people from doing their exercise because this is a national activity, and two, if you decide to refrain from it, the same penalties would be applied. And also, if you give false information, the same penalty would apply.
The 2021 population and housing census is set to generate statistics that are essential for policy and planning purposes.
Now to our next story. Meanwhile, the Ghana statistician has begun listing of the structures and landed property for the 2021 population and housing census. The first 7th day of the national exercise started on the 13th of June 2021 with a listing of structures which involve enumerators locating every structure in an enumeration area and assigning unique serial numbers to the structure, and is collecting some basic information on the structures and their occupants. A national trainer of the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Nasiriba Swala Trahiru, who spoke at the Brighton during Newsbeat, said popularity of the exercise is still low. Working at the Ghana East Municipality, she expressed the need for more popularity of the information for residents to be on the field. Knowledge about the whole program is low about the exercise. We will be bringing you on this story during 7 o'clock news night. But before we do that, let's take our next story. We're still staying with some politics. The opposition National Democratic Congress NDC says the decision by the Chief Justice Enini to refer Dr. Dominic Ayine to the General Legal Counsel forms part of the grand scheme to silence opposition views of suppressing free speech if it's not guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution. The Bolgatanga East MP questioned the judiciary independence about how the Supreme Court arbitrated by the election petition. General Secretary of the party, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, however, in a press conference said the party will side with Dr. Dominic Ayine and resist any attempt to silence lawyers affiliated to the NDC.
Let me state here and now that the National Democratic Congress stands with Dr. Ayine against what is increasingly becoming a campaign of judicial tyranny being waged by no less a person than the Chief Justice of the Republic against lawyers who identify with the NDC. Indeed, the latest persecution of Dr. Ayene is part of a grand agenda by the current Chief Justice to intimidate, cower, and muzzle all dissenting voices, particularly those in the NDC, who dare to speak against some of the strange decisions that characterize the 2020 presidential election petition. The judiciary, ladies and gentlemen, like Parliament or the executive, is not above criticism. Indeed, it is worth recalling that the recent Ray Akoto event in Kumasi, where an address was delivered on behalf of the Chief Justice, was an event to criticize a 60-year-old decision of the Supreme Court. The event was dominated by politicians of the New Patriotic Party stock, who used the occasion to express their critical views freely. So you see now, the Chief Justice, the President, everybody is free to criticize one Supreme Court decision. But even members of Parliament are not free to criticize another Supreme Court decision. What type of country then are we living in? We wish to reiterate the fact that the invitation of Dr. Ayene to appear before the General Legal Council is yet another attempt by the Chief Justice to intimidate and suppress views that are at variance with his own views. The notion that the judicial arm of government is beyond reproach is but a fantasy which cannot be sustained. The same is utterly inimical to democratic practice and must not be countenanced.
Still staying with the NDC, they further demanded withdrawal of the petition against Dr. Dominic Ayene. Mr. Sierra Nketia further served a notice that as the party is keenly following events and will resist judicial tyranny.
Our constitution and laws protect the integrity and independence of the judiciary and not the sensibilities of judges. Judicial vanity is a threat to justice and must not be countenanced in any democracy. We therefore join all well-meaning Ghanaians to demand that the Chief Justice withdraws his petition against Dr. Ayene forthwith. We further serve notice that as a political party, we are keenly following events and shall resist any judicial tyranny with all our might. The respect accorded the judiciary is one that ought to be earned due to the ability of members of that important arm of government to show equanimity, balance, and fairness to all manner of persons, irrespective of their political or ethnic coloration. That respect cannot be rammed down the throats of anyone through acts of suppression and brazen acts of intimidation. The notion that the judicial arm of government is beyond reproach is but a fantasy which cannot be sustained. The same is utterly inimical to democratic practice and must not be countenanced. If these actions by the Chief Justice are intended to browbeat the NDC and its members and prevent us from stating our views on the performance of the judiciary, we hereby state categorically that they will not succeed.
Now let's switch our attention to the Ashanti region, where we are told that leader of the Lighthouse Chapel International, Bishop Darkwood Mills, has apologized to the Ashanti monarchy Otumfuo Seitutu Abibio over an old sermon that appeared to have hit the social media and provoked the Ashantis, especially the youth. They said sermon, which has found its way on social media, is said to questioning the impact of the influential king and his subjects in the community. Here's a News Desk report.
In the said audio, the renowned renowned global evangelist preached a sermon about kingship, during which he used the Asantehene as an example and questioned his impact and legacy beyond the yearly celebrations of his reign.
Very wonderful thing. Fill the stadium for feed everybody. And people will be passing by and shouting, King Solomon. Do you know what King Solomon did? Do you know what King Solomon did? Do you know what King Solomon built? Do you know the house and the temple and the city and the wealth that he generated for his people? And he said, even Solomon, when Jesus was talking, even Solomon in all his splendor was not like this. And you can't call somebody Solomon. Be very careful when you are giving such a nickname to somebody. We are often the most useless type of kings that ever existed. I'm telling you.
This audio has offended the king's subjects, with many pouring out their anger via social media, with some threatening to attack Lighthouse Chapel branches in Kumasi, the seat of the Asantehene. The founder and leader of the Lighthouse Chapel International, Bishop Doug Howard Mills, has on the back of this apologized to the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II after the sermon went viral. In a statement cited by Metro News, Bishop Doug Howard Mills apologized to the Asantehene, explaining that the message was preached nearly 20 years ago and had been taken out of context. He added, quote, "I wish to apologize to His Majesty Otumfuo Nana Osei Tutu II for any disrespect, insult or harm caused him or his royal court. Please accept my profound apologies for the statement I made," unquote. Bishop Howard Mills has been in the news lately following reports of some misunderstanding between him and some of his pastors, which has ended up in court.
We stay on this particular subject and engage our regional correspondent, Abdul Basit, to find out the reaction of the youth who have attempted to actually burn down some of the branches of Lighthouse Chapel International in the Ashanti region. A very good afternoon to you, Basit, and welcome to NEWSFLASH.
Yeah, good afternoon, my brother.
Okay, Basit, what more do you have for us as far as the agitation of the youth is concerned?
Actually, this morning, the youth of Ashanti are very furious. The 5 different groups made up of the Ashanti Youth Association, Kumasi Youth Association, Ashanti Zongo Youth Association, Ashanti Student Union Association, Mpomposo Youth in the United States of America have this morning held a press conference concerning the alleged audio and video purported to have been gone viral on the Facebook of the Bishop Williams of the Lighthouse Chapel International. According to the youth, they are giving the revered man of God 24-hour ultimatum to come to the palace and apologize to the king. They said they've not had any apology from any area unless they come to the palace and apologize to the king. They have threatened to close down all the churches within the jurisdiction of the Asantehene, be in the Volta region, in the Ahafo region, the Asante region. They have threatened to close down all these churches. They initially expressed shock when they intercepted an audio and video of the repairman of the God using unprintable and unfounded words against the king. The youth group says they will not sit down for any person, be a religious leader, politician, or any non-entity individual or group to malign the king, but will go back to know respect their sub-chiefs in their religious areas. They, however, call on Doug Williams to seek wise counsel and come to apologize to the king within 24 hours. Otherwise, he will face their wrath.
But Basit, we know this letter, of course, the apology letter written by Bishop Darkwood Mills to His Royal Majesty and, of course, the Menchia Palace. Have you picked any information from the Menchia Palace whether this letter has actually reached the king?
Actually, I tried finding out if there is an official apology letter to that directive. But I was told that the king is not an ordinary person that you can just send a letter to. They gave an example like if you heard your in-law, you don't just write a letter to her, you go to her and apologize to her. So they are expecting the man of God to come and apologize personally, not just to send a letter to no me person than the Asante Hene. Unless he comes there, they will not recognize any apology unless he comes there personally. Okay,
Bassett, of course, in the Ashanti parlance, there is an adage that Bebia ye chichere abuano, ehwani esanino, trying to interpret it like the medium through which you use to communicate, that brings offense. You can, of course, use that same medium to render the apology. He was broadcasting a message, and it has gotten into the public domain. So him releasing a letter, whether he has plans to come to the palace, in his letter, he did actually recognize and acknowledge the goodies and the influence His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei-Tutu Ababu actually plays, not just in the kingdom, but in Ghana and beyond. With this message, is it not enough, especially for the youth, not to, get themselves into anything like burning or attacking the church?
Actually, to a layman like me and you accept this as something that is acceptable. But with Akan tradition, it's different from the normal official thing that you can just go with your letter and seek for something from the king. According to sources from the Menchia Palace, they have not received any official apology letters from the man of God. That's what they are saying. Even though if he has sent, they have not seen it. What they are expecting is for him to come, to apologize for the world to see that what he did, so that he serve as a deterrent to other men of God and other politicians who usually use unbreakable words against the king.
Beyond the letter from the bishop and away from the youth, have you chanced on any of the leadership of the church in Ashanti region as to what they are doing so that they don't, these youth, should they even come closer, at least there will be some sort of protection from the side of the state?
Actually, because a lot of the youth are very angry, the leadership of the Ashanti youth, leadership of this five groups have decided to petition the regional police command, because their members will go and do some excesses. So they petition the Ashanti Regional Police Command so that they will also, before they take action, provide securities to these members and the churches within these 24 hours that they are expecting the man of God to come out and do the needful.
Thank you very much, Bassett. Abdul Bassett is our Ashanti Regional Correspondent. Of course, keeping an eye on this story so that we will update you in our subsequent bulletin. To our next story, the communications team member of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Margaret Anseh, says the Inspector General of Police, James Opon Bueno, has said his words by expressing insensitivity to the situation and plight of Ghanaians. She said his comment made by the IGP comparing heaven on earth was unacceptable. She stressed that the IGP must indeed disregard some of these statements and go ahead by making such statements, especially both bordering on security as far as the public safety is concerned. On this same issue, the communications team member of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, Ellen Amadaku, applauded African leaders for finally realizing that the world does not care about their security, safety and well-being. They both spoke on Metro TV's flagship program, Good Morning Ghana.
I'm happy that our leaders in West Africa are gradually understanding that nobody cares about us. Nobody in the world gives a hoot what happens to us. If we do not take care of ourselves, I don't see why the Americans should be bothered with us, or the Europeans should be bothered with us. I'm saying this because in normal times, in good times, We all have good neighborliness. You have, you share. We are all in good times. I might have more, so I will share. But when there's a situation, there's an emergency, there's a pandemic like there is now, have you finished sorting your house issues to go and be bothered about somebody's own? You want to live. So you are most definitely, America wants to live. Look at what they've gone through with COVID. India wants to live. Look at what they are going through. So why the heck would they be bothered about Ghana?
The current IGP should manage his public utterances and his public comments.
Your own.
You know, because a police officer is shot dead. A poor woman who is also on hawking to get something for her children also died. Then at that instance, you come to tell us that Ghana, there are crimes everywhere, and it's only in heaven where you will not hear the sound of a bullet. Is he indirectly trying to tell us that we should all die and go to heaven so we have peace? We should allow the armed robbers to kill us. So when you go to heaven, you will have peace. You won't hear the sound of a bullet. Is that what the contracts IGP is telling us?
And so watching NEWSFLASH here on Metro Television, we're back with more stories.
I feel at home whenever I'm in front of the camera. It reminds me of the time when I was a little boy. I used to entertain my family.
After all, it's our story. For the best of your original dramas, telenovelas, and sports, get your GoTV decoder, GoTenna, and a month of GoTV Plus for as little as 109 CDs. Download my GoTV app to easily manage your account on the go. GoTV. Love it.
The world has seen